go ahead and read this one out loud?
Yes. Okay. So when one researcher writes, human beings are innately aggressive. As evidence, the researcher cites the prevalence of warfare in history and then discounts any current disinclination to fight. The most peaceful, the most peaceable peoples of today were often ravagers of yesteryear and will probably fight again in the future. But if some peoples are peaceable now, then aggression itself cannot be coded in our genes, only the potential for it. If innate only means possible or even likely in certain environments, then everything we do is innate and the world has no meaning.
Okay, so what is our conclusion?
So is it, but if some peoples are peaceable now?
Yes, then aggression cannot be, because the rest of this is all support for that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we start off here with what I would say, we have like this opinion of others, and then we have support for this opinion, like where they quote this, I don't know where this comes from, but they quote this evidence, right? And then we
Yeah.
kind of reject, our conclusion is kind of like, hey, but if people are, we kind of like reject that, and then we offer kind of more our support for our conclusion. All right. And then this one asks us about my color. Which of the following most accurately describes the technique used in the passage to weaken the argument for the claim that aggressiveness is innate to human beings? So how do we go about weakening this first line? How would you say this in your own words?
So they're saying that they are aggressive.
Well, the researcher is saying human beings are innately aggressive, right?
Yeah.
So, but that's not, how do we weaken that humans are not innately aggressive? How do we do that?
Yeah. There's some people peaceable now. So I guess in the conclusion, maybe. Or in the last sentence.
Yeah. Okay. So we can, our conclusion is that if some people are peaceable now, then aggression itself cannot be coded in our genes only for potential for it, right?
Yeah.
So we're not saying, our conclusion is humans are not innately aggressive. And we do this by saying, like, hey, if innate only means possible or even likely in certain environments, then everything we do is innate and the word has no meaning, right? So how does this weaken their, how does this fact or this premise weaken the researcher that says human beings are innately aggressive?
So basically, it's saying that human beings are not innately aggressive because it's not accurate using the word innately.
Yeah, it's saying like, hey, um, if this is what innately means, then it means nothing.
Yeah.
So what answer choice did you pick for this one?
So I picked C.
An attempt to make it to an attempt is made to undermine the argument for innate aggressiveness by arguing that there are no genetically based traits. Do we argue that there are no genetically based traits at all?
No.
No, so this is way too strong of an answer, right?
Yeah.
So it can't be C because that's not is not what happens. Um, Go ahead and start with read A and tell me what you think.
Okay. So the accuracy of the historical data cited in the argument for innate aggressiveness is called into question. So I would cross that off.
Yeah, because do we give any historical data?
No.
No. So it's not A.
So the force of the concept of innateness used in the argument for innate aggressiveness, it's called into question. So I would hold on to that one.
What do you like about this one?
So saying that the innateness used in the argument for innate aggressiveness is called into question, but I'm not convinced with the force, like that word.
Oh, the force of the concept. I think that just
Yeah.
the use of the concept. Like I think that that word is really silly.
So D, an attempt is made to undermine the argument for innate aggressiveness by suggesting that it appeals to emotional considerations rather than to reason. So I would cross that off as
Yeah,
well.
we don't say that it appeals to emotion. All right, and then E.
And then an attempt is made to undermine the argument for innate aggressiveness by arguing that all peoples are peaceable. And I would cross that off because of the use of all.
Yes, that all people are. Excellent.
So it would be B.
Excellent. And that's exactly what we do, right? We're like, hey, um, by the force of the concept or the use of the concept of innateness used in the argument for innate aggressiveness is called into question. So we're saying, like,
Yeah.
hey, is your definition of innate really meaning what it says that you're trying to say?
Yeah.
Awesome.